Hey guys, what's up? It's Lizzy Jane, and we're back with another podcast. This week I have Matt, also known as DMVU, joining me on the podcast. We talk everything from his recent releases to Dome of Doom to upcoming music on Memory Palace, his new tour with Toadface starting the week after next. He has so much going on. He just smashed Red Rocks a few months ago. I actually had no idea he lived in Denver until he played the EPROM show, which was so dope. I'm always so surprised by how many incredible artists and talents and creatives live in Denver. So he has been in Denver for the better half of the last 2+ decades. So we got to talk about Denver, the music scene, and everything else in between. I am so excited for you guys to tune into this one. Without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into my podcast with special guest DMVU. Hey guys, so lately I've seen a ton of larger shows I've been playing at that a lot of these festivals and venues are no longer allowing bags that are not clear. Well, guess what? Lunchbox Packs is coming in clutch again. They have just stepped up their anti-theft bags by releasing a fully clear hydration pack and snack pack. This is an absolute game changer for your summer festivals and events. Each bag is made out of TPU material that is incredibly durable, flexible, and made to not alter under extreme sun exposure over time. You also have the option to bring a skin in your bag on the way in, and once you're through that security line, you can zip on your skin for privacy of your belongings and to add some extra personalized fun flair. These hydration packs meet the majority of all festival regulations and guidelines. As always, these packs have all of the awesome anti-theft features as the original hydration and snack packs. Make sure you use code LizzyJane for $10 off any hydration pack and code LizzyJ for $5 off any snack pack. I will see you at the rave. The show today was brought to you by Vitaplur E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, Vitaplur E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. Vitaplur is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew Vitaplur and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order.
Matt, thank you for coming on the podcast today. Yeah, I'm glad we finally got to do this. I feel like I've wanted to sit down and talk to you for a while, but I just had no idea that you lived in Denver.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't. I hide. I don't go out often.
I can understand that.
I've lived here long enough to where I've seen all the cool shit here.
Yeah. How long have you lived here?
Since 1999. So
shit.
I was 6 when we moved here. I'm 29.
So before Denver was the dubstep haven.
Before I knew what dubstep was, maybe before dubstep existed. I don't know. I don't know if 99 is the right time frame, but yeah.
Probably.
Oh I remember God. I was super into Britney Spears and NSYNC and 6 years old. Look at me now.
Look at you now.
Dubstep.
Look at you now. Dubstep, 140 shit. Hot beatbox all the time. I actually have to try this now because I'm going to feel so bad if it's room temperature.
It's not the worst.
We need a crushed ice.
I think the chair and the beatbox pair well together. So I learned about these was Lost Lands posts. I've learned so much from Lost Lands.
Okay.
Fucking okay. Cut. Interview's over.
Cut. Yeah, you were not at Lost Lands this year though,
no,
right?
I wasn't. I did it 3 years.
Did you have was FOMO at any moment?
The thing is, I always get FOMO when my friends do anything.
Yes,
I'm
that's how I feel.
It's weird. I didn't have FOMO for Lost Lands. I had FOMO for sitting backstage and drinking hot beatboxes with my friends.
Exactly.
And Lost Lands is a fucking spectacle and a half, So
the first times I was at Lost Lands, I was just kind of in awe at every subgenre having its own culture there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like those memes that you see where it's what lunchbox table are you at? Or what lunch table are you at? And then you've got all of the different genres. Everyone there is represented.
And it's funny because I do get why people who haven't been there it's all the same bad music. And from afar, I guess it appears that way, but I learned at Lost Lands how many like different fucking subgenres of like rhythm there are, and it's like,
right?
You can learn a lot there, you know?
You really can, and you can wander, and if you are not like a main stage baby, you actually learn a lot.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, people are nice too. People are really nice.
People are really nice. They definitely watch out for each other, but you've been on the go.
I've been going.
You have a tour right now.
Yes.
With Toadface.
Yep.
Dude, he was one of the first. When I got into EDM, like 18 years old in Orlando, it was the only place that like experimental music existed. Like the 40-ounce cult guys.
I was going to say, like Hanao.
Haneo. Yep, Haneo. They used to have those underground parties. I remember Toadface played this like festival and it got shut down, and then there was this house in Orlando that used to throw these like renegade parties.
Is this Married to the Rave?
Yes,
I played that also.
Yes,
I played that.
Dude,
show.
do you remember that shit? How wild that was!
Well, and I remember it was like me and like Essex and Saruta and Toadface and like Nasty, and like we all showed up to this venue and they're like, we're switching venues last minute, and they switched us to this like strip club.
Yep,
and that was the first time. So I had just started traveling at that point, and my agent was like, you should get paid before you play.
Yes.
I was like, that's scary. You shouldn't tell me that. And I was like, okay. So I like go to this guy like who's near the door, because I knew he wasn't the promoter, but he like drove me around. And I was like, hey, I need to like get money before I play. And they like went to the door box and just handed me this wad of 20s. I was like, I didn't expect that. And also the show was a disaster. And then we went to a house party and Will Clark was there.
House party.
So strange.
Will Clark was there. I remember Toadface was like, he was playing on this huge lawn. Like they set up this huge renegade and he was playing like this Iron Man flip. It was like 5:30 in the morning. There were like helicopters above the property, but they couldn't do anything because it was private property. Yeah. Wild.
It's so crazy. Wild. I forgot about the helicopters. I vividly remember that. And I also remember it being 5:30 in the morning. I think Levitation Jones was there for some reason also.
Levitation Jones was there. The Easy Baked Boys were there. Like that whole crew was there.
I think that's the first time I met Eric and Andrew, I think was in Tampa or something. But this was like my first time like hanging out with them.
They're wild.
Love those fucking boys. They're crazy. Well, Eric's wild.
Andrew's wild.
So chill.
It's like the yin and yang balance.
They're perfect.
They're perfect for each other.
One couldn't exist without the other.
No, absolutely not. And then they just did Ogden Headline, which seemed fucking wild.
Not only did they do Ogden Headline, they did it without an LCD screen, which is so
really
I love that. So I don't know if you saw any videos. They just had a really cool light setup. It was like these like sticks, these like thin light.
Ooh, that reminds me like bands, like metal.
Yeah,
bands
no, it was. It was very band setup, and like it was like lights and lasers and these cool. It looked like the ceiling almost, but like the stage, and I think that's very important for the culture to like not always include a TV, you know, like
when it's just about the music.
I'm not hating on cool visuals, don't get me wrong, but it's important to digress from like overstimulation sometimes and, you know, just enjoy good tunes and some flashy lights.
Absolutely.
And who better to do it than Eric and Andrew?
I know.
Fucking boys.
I know. They're the boys. They're always such a good time. Last time I was in Atlanta with them, we did a stop on the Big G tour when they were doing direct support duties. And we went to Def after for the first time. And Eric was just like, let's go. He had his girl with him. Andrew was there. We all piled in this car. And then all of a sudden we're in this alleyway. And it's like, here we go.
That's so
Have you ever done one of their parties?
No, I haven't. I'm trying. Me and Gina Littlesake have been trying to convince them to let me and him do one together.
Dude.
Yeah.
So good. Little Snake is so good.
He's like, I hold him on the level of like he's good, but he's like makes me afraid because I'm like, oh shit, like this is where the bar is. Like, might as well just hang out with you instead of trying to, you know, do anything remotely excited.
Let's just be homies.
Yeah, it's easier that way.
I feel like the culture has definitely not shifted, but there's like such a space now where like you yourself have the down tempo kind of phase of your project.
Yeah. And
then you also have like what you did for EPROM, like and like 140, like that set was just so wild.
Thank you. That was, it's I'm torn between the two constantly because I mean I've always released chill shit, and I grew up in Denver, so obviously dubstep is. I think it was unavoidable. That's why I didn't make only chill shit. Like being a teenager in Denver, the only thing to do was go to dubstep shows, but it's made me, torn inside because I can't do both at the same time. People are like, why don't you do both? And it's like, you can't play chill shit and dubstep in the same set. Like you can't.
No, it's hard.
People think like it's a good idea, but it's not. It's like kills the fucking vibe.
Have you ever tried it and then you're like, fuck this?
I've tried it like house parties and like for the homies and like, yeah, it doesn't work. Like there's probably 2 people there who are like, this is so sick. But for the average crowd, you can't just play like a banger and then something sad. Like you can meet the middle ground. There's like Millennium and shit where it's like sad bangers, but
cry bangers.
I can't do the cry bangers. I like bangers and I like crying. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to blend the two.
And I think Millennium's as opposite of like 140
shit
as you could possibly be.
Funny story. I did an E Tuesday battle against Millennium. It was like me and Sodown and Millennium when I was like 16 years old.
Because he's from here too.
Yeah.
There's so many people who are like from here.
Yeah. And it was like he won because he brought like this was back when E Tuesdays were judged by like bring people, and if they yell when they say your name, like that's the winner. And like it was Millennium. I'm not gonna beat Millennium. He brought like half his high school class. I was just like a little dubstep kid. He was all shy. But yeah, it was there from the beginning. Absolutely.
I remember people I used to meet people when I first moved here that were like, yeah, like Nick was like a barista at like a coffee shop for a hot minute before all this shit started happening.
Yeah, it's insane.
And it's insane. And it just kind of shows you like all the different ways that it can happen. And also like how long it takes to actually like monetize your project to a point where you can be like, yeah, I'm chilling without any other forms of income.
Yeah. I think people forget that part where it's like they see someone blow up, but it's like you didn't see, unless you lived in Denver and bought coffee, you didn't see the years of working like 3 jobs before that and shit. But, it's okay. You can't explain that to people.
Absolutely.
I've even got like some kid, like the first time I played Lost Lands, I had been like, this is my like 8th year of touring. And he's like, bro, you're up next. I was like, thank you. Like, it's really flattering to hear, but like, it makes sense. People don't, when you see someone new, you don't assume, oh, they must have been doing this forever and I didn't hear about them. You assume, they just appeared.
They just appeared. And I think a lot of people think that about festivals too. I used to get a festival, usually like come out of like a beatbox, like, alcohol container. It would just pop up and then like EDC would be there or like SMF would be there. Yeah. And you're like, wow, this is fucking insane. And to like realize the back end that goes into it. And most artists I sit down and like talk with, I feel like TikTok and like definitely where like social media is at provides like an opportunity for maybe people to like expedite that journey, but it's not always for like the longevityness. It's for like that quick pop.
That's one thing I preach online. I try not to preach online, but I get passionate about things.
Preach.
And like, it's just one of those things like, yeah, people like, I don't think they realize like they try and go for this pop and like, there's no sustainability there. Like the amount of artists I've seen coming up in the past like 12 years that have gotten way bigger than me and now like don't exist. Like I just want to pay my bills for a long time. That doesn't mean blowing up. That just means like slow and steady, doing something tight and honest and not, I don't want to say selling out, but not like, doing things for the sake of doing them.
Doing them. Yeah.
Content like, for content's sake.
Yes. And like inauthentic.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think especially with like your subgenre, I think people like see right past that shit.
They do. Scary fan base, but I respect them because they're don't take no shit, And like a good like example is like the difference with like the Lost Lands like fan base. They're like starry-eyed and young, and they also like go harder than anyone. Like they're so like innocent and like happy and love everything. I feel like some other fan bases are kind of jaded and old, which I get. I'm jaded and old, but it's easy to become a hater. But the thing is, if you can push through the hate and still enjoy things, but still hold a standard,
And I think in that is where it's like, once you're kind of educated enough to see how things are actually going. And then you choose to say, okay, well, these are like, control the controllables. I can't control that. Like whatever's going on over there, whatever tactic it is, whatever marketing it is, whatever agent is picking up this hot pop, it is. Yep. I can't control the actions. All I can do is control what I decide to associate myself with.
Yep. My dad and my old roommate were both in AA. Whole thing in AA, they're like, yo, like control what you can, accept what you can. And I was like, wow, I learned that from living with dudes who were in AA. I was like, wow, they should teach non-alcoholics this advice also.
All the
it's really
time.
like, yeah, you can't control that one agent just picked up half the fucking industry on their roster and now they're all going to do shows together. Like, oh, well, you know, but you can control not making shitty content and putting it out.
Exactly. And like having real fans.
Yeah.
I think like there's so many things now, and I definitely deal with it where it's like, okay, do you run through a distributor or do you run through DistroKid and like keep like the momentum going and keep putting out music that you fuck with for your fans? Or like, do you wait for this label to say, well, we're going to release it a year from now and then we're going to put like a stream farm on it and then like none of the streams are actually going to be new fans.
Yeah.
And it's just this like fooled thing where then it's like, hey, go sell fucking tickets because you got 1 million streams on the song and nobody buys any tickets.
That's another huge issue. A lot of like up and comers don't realize is like internet numbers don't equate to real life numbers at all. And like, I don't have the most like plays monthly. I think I have like 40,000 plays monthly on Spotify and shit, but like I can't sell tickets. But like I know dudes who make like lo-fi hip hop and they have like 1.9 million monthly listeners, but they don't play shows because they don't sell tickets. Because people who hear their music, they love it, but they like don't know who it is. You know, they just hear the song and they're like, they'll listen to the song 800 times. And those dudes also make bank off like royalties. Yes. I make like probably like $300 a year off royalties, which is pretty fucking good.
Considering,
but, you know, and also everything I've ever done is like on a label. So I'm not collecting like straight royalties.
100%.
It's all halved, but it's okay. My plan wasn't to make a living off royalties because if it was, did really bad. Took the wrong direction.
It's in this day and age, the whole royalty thing is you might as well go for like a publishing deal or try and score something.
The people who make the most money on Spotify are people who make like white noise. So like the
sleeping noise.
The most played tracks on Spotify are like the 40 minutes of white noise and brown noise. Like those dudes make $30,000 a month on Spotify sometimes. And
I also want to say that I love how Spotify cuts like $100 million deals to podcasters now.
Oh yeah.
They can't pay any musicians more than like 0.00057 cents a stream. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, it's a wild time we're living in, and you are so right where it's interesting because the social media numbers are such an obsession in like electronic dance music, especially like commercialized electronic dance music, which I really will confidently say dubstep has taken that step into the commercialized circle now.
Absolutely.
You know, like the excisions and stuff. And like it's amazing because it's getting in front of so many more people. But like those numbers like definitely in a lot of people's minds like dictate interest, whether it's from like agents or fans or popping on TikTok. But you know, you go out of EDM and you go to bands like Fish, you go to bands like Goose, and you know, they've got 200,000 monthly listeners. They've got 50,000 followers on Instagram, but they're selling out Red Rocks 4 nights in a row with tickets for $1,000.
And the people who go to those shows have been going to those shows for 30 years, and they're going to go to those shows until they're 80, and they're going to bring their kids to those shows. And like, it's like the same way like the police is like, hey, we'll do one show a year and sell like $200 tickets. Like, I think that's a little sus, but they can do that because people are like in for the long run, you know?
Do you feel like people are not making music as like it's hard to say like not as good because music has evolved and matured and like all this stuff. But you know, like my dad was visiting last week and we're listening to, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s rock on the way up to the mountains. And it's like all of the like records that are still being remixed that still every teenager knows and all this stuff. Yeah. And I feel like music like today isn't like received that way.
Well, okay, the way I look at this, right? So like in the 70s, like you got a band, right? And your band has to get together and practice and write music. And every time I make a song, I try and imagine if I had to have 5 other dudes agree with what I was doing to the song. That, first of all, insane. Studio time is very fucking expensive. So like you can't just waste away in front of your laptop. It's like, say you get 5 hours, like you better fucking get the song recorded and do it right because you don't have any more money. And it's like there was so much more, I don't want to say effort, but just so much more involved in making one song recorded than just like sitting in front of a computer and quickly writing a song like at the airport, which is crazy. And I think like it's not a good or a bad thing. It's just like music can be made on the fucking dime right now, like quick, instantly. And I think when people were dumping their life savings and when you had 5 people pitching together their life savings to record a song that might work, like there was a little more effort involved, you know?
Definitely more effort involved. And, you know, the aspect of collaboration where, you know, exactly what you said. 5 guys have to agree on one melody, on one riff, on one harmony. And that's going to take like arguing and coming to a middle ground. And, you know, I feel like EDM I say this all the time, we're still in this box where I think it's a little bit more accepted, but I don't know in your subgenre where there's like multiple writers on a track or co-writers. I mean, this or that.
Like I have co-writing credits on some, like I have an Emancipator song that came out that like I have writing credit on. And the way like Emancipator did is like they would just send me like a loop and I'd like play keys over it, then like add drums and send it back to them. And then like when the song was done, there was like 15 of us on the song, and they just like, it's not Emancipator featuring, it's just like this person on keys. Like it's like a band. You know? And it's funny because Emancipator is technically just like Doug. It's like one dude, but Emancipator is 30 people, you know, and like that I had writing credit on and I got like paid for. But then like collabs are like, it's different, you know, it's like a split. And it's like, I think collabs are for the namesake in a lot of instances. And like, I don't have a lot of collabs because I'm fucking anal. I don't mean to be, but I don't work well with others often. And that's why I'm a solo artist, because I fucked up every band I was ever in. So I was like, it needs to be like this. And everyone just smoked too much weed. And I was like, nah. But now when you work alone, there's no one to tell you what you did sucked. So, you know.
What you did sucked, and you're not like waiting on anybody. Yeah. I was in a band too, very, very young. When you said keys and drums, I'm like, okay, total band boy. Like definitely was in a band. Were you in like post-hardcore, punk pop?
I was in
metal.
I played jazz. I did like marching band and played jazz. And then this metal band was like, we need a drummer. And I was like, I own drums. Like, yeah, I can do that. And like, wrong.
Double
first of all,
drum.
No, my fucking chops on the double, not good. Not good. I was like, yo, I can like do most of the rudiments, but not with my feet. So that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not a very metal guy. I was never into metal. My ass listened to like Coldplay and shit. Like I didn't fit in with those guys.
Yeah, they're intense. They're definitely intense. I mean, with a band, you're just depending on a lot of people to put a lot of ducks in a row. And at the same time, people are like growing up and like then you get like girlfriends and kids.
And the issue is, it is honestly psychotic to be like, hey, I want to make a living out of this. So to put that pressure on 5 other people, like no one deserves to have a bandmate who's like, hey, we need to work harder so I could pay my bills with this. It's like, I think about that now too. Like, damn, if I had to split what I make 5 ways, like I'd be fucking broke.
Well, look at the DJ groups that have like 3 people.
Yeah.
Wild.
Oh yeah. They and it's fine. Like Turning is a great example because they have like, that's why I think they have like many others, like they do sample packs and they like Jack like make synths and shit like that. And they do like Twitch streams and lessons and like, and I feel like my lazy ass should do stuff like that. But since I'm just one guy, I'm like, oh, well, just make dubstep and DJ and leave it at that.
Well, you do what needs to be done to get by. Like if I didn't have to have a Patreon to pay my bills, I probably wouldn't have Patreon, you know?
It's fair. But if you still didn't have to do it, I feel like you should still do it. Like you're good at it, you know?
Well, there's like a skill set that we like all have that we can really like utilize in a lot of different ways. And I think when you're stuck in like the DJ world, it's very difficult to be like, hey, I actually could do this and this and this and this and this.
I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm a firm believer that DJing is way overrated as far as like difficulty. Like picking good songs is hard. Literally DJing is not that hard.
Correct.
Like I play a lot of dubstep. Like mixing 140 with 140. Like don't try and tell me that's hard. It's you don't even gotta like. It's the same. I
always said you could count to 4.
Yeah, it's the same. It's you don't even gotta move the pitch slider. So like it's. That being my main job, because like it is my main job. Producing isn't my main job. Like I don't get paid to make songs. I get paid to like play songs. I make songs to play them, but like Yeah, it's very easy job, you know?
It is.
The rest of it's hard. Like traveling. Like, being around people when you're tired. Like,
financial security.
That shit's hard.
Like,
the actual, the 1 hour period where you're working.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, it's fun. It's easy. It's exciting. You know, makes it worthwhile.
It definitely makes it
I'm lucky to have an easy job. Like, if I had to be a fucking doctor, oh my God, I killed someone. Oh my God, no thank you.
Literally,
no thank you.
There's so much pressure, and I think I saw like a TikTok the other day where we're all delusional in our own right. Are you even doing this to begin with? Because people are like, you're fucking crazy kind of deal.
I told that to my dad. I was like, I love and respect you for like being like, you can do this. But if I had a kid, my kid was like, I'm going to be a DJ. I'd be like, you fucking stupid. Like, what are you doing? And my wonderful, loving parents were like, yeah, sure. I look back on that. I'm like, you guys are just as crazy as I am because you told your 18-year-old son that you should try DJing.
Go for it.
Oh, so good. They're so good.
That's amazing.
Love them.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely quite a few people who I've spoken with that don't have supportive parents, and I'm sure
that's what I'm saying. That's what most people, and I would try to be so supportive as a parent, but it's insane to come to someone with and be like, what if I can pay the bills with this? And it's like, you sure? Like, you sure about that?
You sure about that? Yeah. Oh my God. So, you know, you definitely drop music pretty consistently. Like, yeah. I feel like you put out, you know, whether it's the down tempo stuff or it's 140 stuff.
Yeah.
When you kind of like get into your creative process, like, are you still utilizing like, you know, instruments when you kind of create music?
Sometimes.
What's your creative process?
Sometimes. Like, I play keys on a lot of my music. And then like, since I grew up playing drums, I have a shared wall now, so I can't play my drum set because my neighbor would fucking kill me. So I like spent all this money on an electronic drum kit. I'm like, I'm going to use this for everything. And like, I don't use it for everything. I play the shit out of it. But lo and behold, like when I'm making like some like deep 140 shit, implementing a drum kit is way less useful than you would think. But like pianos are very useful. And like, I do a lot of like chopping shit manually, you know, but I like, as someone who grew up playing piano and drums, I like the removal of the physicality of production, which I think some people don't like. But I like the whole, like, I can make a whole song with a mouse instead of like doing physical shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love playing instruments, but it's very cool to me.
It's hard because I'm like in that same boat with you, and I feel like every person I speak with, like Roman Silver has like a dope ass studio.
Oh, he's so sick.
He's got like a bunch of synths and a bunch of all this stuff, and he's like, yeah, like I don't really touch any of it when I'm actually making music.
Yeah, and it's hard because it's like same. We're all so far, right? And it's like, I think a good good group to look up to in this aspect is like Glitch Mob. They post those videos where like, hey, are
the
like
outboard gear, patch bass,
and they're like,
all of that shit is just.
I saw them at Infatuated last year, and they used that live. I'm like, holy shit! Like,
didn't they kind of like reinvent their project?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I mean, the first time I ever saw Glitch Mob was they headlined Red Rocks. I was poor then. This was like 2013, and Drink the Sea had just come out. One of the best albums of all time. I love new Glitch Mob. I will die on the hill that Drink the Sea is. It's so like corny and shit, but it's so fucking sick. And yeah, so I don't know if I can say this, but like if you can't afford Red Rocks, you climb the hill behind Red Rocks, you can see and hear the entire show. It's like, here's the back row, the mountain behind it, very dangerous climb, cactuses, loose rocks. Like some dude brought a tank up there. We just hiked our asses up there once the lights went, like once it was dark. And
I literally almost feel like I know where you're at because like there are hikes there during the day and shit.
Oh, and you're like,
and like some of them are like straight up.
Yeah, let me tell you, you can hear the music very clear from right there and see like, not the stage, but you can see the lasers. And like, yeah, I saw Glitch Mob that way. And then like their new shit, very far removed from that, which I actually almost like respect more. Like I like their old music more. But I respect more that they're like taking this new like route with their
people
music,
love it,
which is ironic because they're doing like old shit. Yeah. They're like their new route is playing like 90s rave shit, which is so good. It's amazing live. Like seeing them at Infrasound was life changing.
I can't wait to see them live now.
So fucking life changing, and it was really like it felt like a full circle moment. I was like, these guys are legends. And they like revolutionized electronic music. And now they're just playing like old Aphex Twin and
what they want to do.
Yeah, and like that's it. Like that is the goal. What they're doing is the fucking dream. Is to just have people trust you enough to do what you want to do, and then what you do is tight enough for people to trust you again.
Because I think we've all seen that backfire too.
Oh, I mean, I've fucking done that shit. I've been like, I'm going to do some experimental and like cleared the fucking dance floor. Luckily, there's always like one kid. He's like, "You'll get him next time, man." I'm like, "Thank you."
You'll get him next time.
Yeah, it doesn't always work, you know.
No, doesn't always work, and like, holy shit, it's really wild because you see like pop stars and hip hop people reinvent themselves all the time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Constantly. But I think a lot of times still with us, it's like you have to choose what you want to do, put yourself in that box, make yourself marketable, and then do the same thing over and over and over again until the day you die.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, I think there's a lot of weight in choosing to do something that you don't think is necessarily the right move, but it's the correct move. It's like, you know, there's so many instances where people are like, I don't know, like we talked about earlier, people try and do some shit that everyone else is doing so they can fit in. And like, it's scary choosing to not do that, you know? But the fear pays off.
And sometimes doing stuff that's like uncomfortable is very much so along the lines of like how you grow. And that's how all of the music that people like love now came to be in the limelight.
Great example of this is like, I really do not like doing down tempo sets because DJing, as I said, is fun. Down tempo sets, I'm playing like all original music and I have to curate it, like plan it ahead of time. It's not like DJing where I'm just like read the room, like let's see what I should play. I have to like plan it out, and it's all music I wrote, so it's like scary as shit playing it. And I do not like playing it, and I'm on stage and I'm not having the best time. But like I've gotten the best feedback from those sets than I ever have in my entire life. And I'm like on stage miserable. And then someone like DMs me after the show, they're like, "That changed my life." And I'm like, I'm glad, because that almost didn't feel worth it to me. But,
because that almost ended mine.
Way scarier playing everything you wrote. Like my homies, good music. I don't have to question it. If I play their tunes, we're good. But I don't know if what I made is dope, you know?
Well, and it's also like, I feel like down tempo and just certain styles and subgenres of electronic music, people are like watching the actual like performance aspect of it and like listening. And it's like, it's not like IDM, but it's also like you're making people think.
Yes. Yeah.
I know anytime that I like sing or I do anything live, it's like you feel like if you were watching a video with the sound off, you'd be like, did she kill the crowd? Oh, but then you get off and you're like, wait, people were actually like watching you. You know, they were watching you perform. Like they would watch a band or they would watch a live singer. Yeah.
Growing up as a dubstep DJ, my understanding of crowd response was people like yelling or like throwing something.
Or like mosh pit or like we're all going to die. Like we're so angry.
You can tell when they like it. In the first down tempo set I played, I was like, I thought I was like train wrecking because like people started like laying down and shit. And then lo and behold, everyone loved it. But I'm like, okay, it makes sense. You aren't going to like, I mean, there was one kid who was just like geeking the fuck down. The song was just pads. There was no drums. And he was like, I was like, okay, like shout out you, but I don't expect that from everyone else. But like, yeah, it's everything I know about reading a crowd like goes out the fucking window. But
it's a learning curve.
It's exactly.
Because we're like designed, and especially like people we watched before we did it, it's like, is the crowd moving? Is the crowd dancing? Yeah, but now there's so many subgenres, and like I think, you know, forever my first tipper event will be one of the biggest learning classes of my life.
Oh, you played a tipper
event? No. I attended. I was brought there by my college roommate. She said, we're going to Tipper and Friends. I think I'd been to like maybe 2 EDM shows.
When was this?
This was 2017.
That was the year I went to my first Tipper event also.
Really? At Swanee?
No, Denver.
Oh, Denver would be
down
different.
Tipper down tempo.
Boy. So we did it at Swanee. It was a camping event. It was 3 days. And I just remember laying in a hammock and then hearing the tanks go off. And just being like, where am I? Like, it was so peaceful and so serene, but it was also like so crazy. But then during his sets, like, I'd been to like Ritz and Amp and like,
top
40
I know those
EDM
clubs.
And I was like, well, this is different. Like this is definitely something different to digest. Yeah.
And it's funny because Tipper is a great example of like, he has the jam band crowd mentality where Tipper fans are never leaving him. They will die on the Tipper hill. And they're also like, wook's not the right word, but like when I saw Tipper in 2017 at the Fillmore, he did like 3 nights. It was like regular Tipper. He had just put out that album with a fucking astronaut on it. It's a good album.
Yeah. I know.
And he did a tip hop night. So he played all his like old 90s shit where he scratched, and regular. And then third night was down tempo. And I went to that. And like, first of all, down tempo Tipper and like down tempo DMVU, not the same fucking category at all. This shit is still like so production heavy and percussive, and like people were fucking smoking DMT, and people like brought blankets and we're laying on the floor. I'm sitting here like never been to a show like this. There's people laying down. I'm in like all black, and there's like dudes in tie-dye smoking DMT laying on the ground, and it's just like wet sounds. And I was like, I'm out of my fucking element right now.
Out of my element.
But at the same time, as a producer, like, is legitimately one of the best electronic music producers in the world. It's not my favorite music, but be a fool to say he's not like a pillar of electronic music production.
A pillar.
Just a little too wet for my taste. It's a little juicy. I like a dry EDM,
When I was at the Tipper event, I remember I kept smelling something really weird, and I was like, are they all smoking mids?
Is it the people?
No, I was literally like, are they smoking like really bad weed? And like, I was in Florida, and Florida is terrible. And I was like, is this just like disgusting, like not real weed? And then my friend was like, no, that's DMT. It was like,
are they burning a tire in the middle of the fire? Is that a tire fire? Is that
a tire fire?
Yeah, I've smelled DMT before I ever smoked it. I smoked DMT once. As someone who doesn't like Tipper, I also don't love tripping that much either. Used to be my thing, but I'm not 16 and on drugs anymore.
I mean, what is it like?
I mean,
doesn't it just like stop
all encompassing? Time? Yeah, it's all it consumes everything around you. Like I don't know if you've ever smoked salvia. I found salvia way worse and way more intense. Like DMT, I don't know. It's like, it's an insane, very intense trip that doesn't last that long. And like, I used to think something was wrong with me because I would eat a lot of hallucinogens and not have profound experiences. And I was like, oh, maybe like my brain's fucked up or something. But then I just realized, like, I don't know, not everyone eats acid and like understands God. Some people just eat acid and it's like, wee.
Yeah.
And same with DMT. I smoked it. Like, this was towards the end of me enjoying tripping all the time. I used to trip all the time, but I also didn't have responsibilities and was like unemployed and 18 years old. Like, of course it was fun.
18 years old.
Now being like almost 30, I'll like eat, I'll microdose acid and be like, fuck my credit card bill. Like, I got insurance bills going on. Like, it's not fun anymore. But
you get so in your head.
Yeah.
And you're like in that hole where you just keep going down.
I think of that and I'm like, imagine that on the floor at a show. I'm like, no fucking thank you. Like, power to them. Respect it. But not my cup of tea. Not my cup of DMT.
Yeah. And like now, though, I feel like, because you've done stuff with Dome of Doom, right?
Yeah.
Whose label is that?
Wiley Cable.
Okay.
Fucking, I will die in the hill. It's the best label.
I love the music that Dome of Doom puts out.
Like, I put out this EP. It was like one of my like chill EPs. And then they did an Easy Baked EP. And then they did an EP of this really famous like historical flamenco guitarist from Spain who was like knighted in the country of Spain as being like an important musical influence. And like, yeah, Dome of Doom released an instrumental of him playing flamenco guitar, like a whole album. And I was like, to be squished between like Easy Baked and a knight of Spain who's like a god at flamenco guitar, like that is how you know Dome of Doom is just good music. Like, they don't give a fuck what the genre is. Like, put out if it's dope, they'll put it out, And
they did my friend's album, my friend Quarter's album. She makes like cinematic house.
Met her at the Dome of Doom takeover.
Yeah, and like it was just so dope. Yeah.
That's how we met. We were talking about Massachusetts liquor stores, which are called Packies. And she was like, oh, and I was like, most people don't know that. I was like, Springfield. Her set was so sick. That it was this Dome of Doom takeover, and it was like me and Genghis and her and Wiley back to back Ahi. Wiley Cable. It's called something fucker genre. Something with the word fucker in it. At LA, at this fucking venue, this warehouse. I've played like 3 goddamn
1720?
Yes. 1720. It was like, Genghis, Daedalus was there. And I played that show, and like all the members of Glitch Mob showed up and were in the crowd. Gaslamp Killer was there. It was like a terrifying moment in my life. Also, I played a down-tempo set. So, as you know, uncomfortable, horrified. All my idols are in the crowd. But
here you go.
They said really nice things to me afterwards, so it was stressful.
That was it. Oh my god.
To be fair, I was around some of my best friends. It's much easier when you're like around your best friends.
I'm someone that it's hard when my friends are there.
I was
it's
like
cool,
that.
But it's hard for me, and I'd rather be in front of a lot more people that I don't know.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite because I'm like, I'd rather be in front of like, if I fuck up, my friends will be nice to me, but like strangers. And I'm not looking. I don't want the reality check. Like, if I do bad, don't tell me. Just be like, get him next time. Like, I don't want to hear if I did bad. So I like being around my friends because they're really nice to me.
Well, and it's like also every show's like not going to be perfect. I think that's like a reality.
I think I've played maybe 2 shows that I would say perfect.
Yeah.
And I've played like 900 shows maybe.
That's
1
wild.
or 2 that have been perfect. 300 that have been fire. A lot of them questionable. It's just, it's the way she goes.
So you've been doing this for like 8 years? 10
Yeah.
years?
So the first out-of-state show I ever played, I was 17. I was still in junior year of high school. That's the year I dropped out of high school.
Okay.
See, that's what I'm saying. My parents were like,
wild.
I was like, hey, I dropped out. I want a DJ. They're like, okay. Like, the fuck?
They're like, here you go.
But yeah, this dude hit me up on SoundCloud in Lake Tahoe. He DM'd me. He's like, hey, can I give you money to play these 3 shows in Lake Tahoe? Like, one's at a dive bar, one's at this place, Whiskey Dicks, one was at Crystal Bay Ballroom and Casino, and the third one was at this weird little venue. It was all like along Lake Tahoe. Yeah, I like went out there, took time off school, got my assignments early. My parents drove me 17. Out there. Yeah, I brought my girlfriend 16. At the time. And like the dude who booked me on SoundCloud, this is back when you just
SoundCloud era.
You just used SoundCloud. That's how I built my career. People just found you on SoundCloud. And I showed up at his house and knocked on his door, and he was like, "How old are you?" And I was like, 17. He's like, "I thought you were like." When someone shows up with their parents and their girlfriend and they don't even have facial hair, he thought I was like 25 or something because he just didn't really ask. He was just like, "Oh, good beats. Can you come out here?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I tried to play it really cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, no one had ever paid me that much or asked me to play outside of Colorado. So yeah, I went out there.
You're like, let's go.
He was not stoked because one of the shows was at a casino. Casinos don't like you if you're under 21. I was under 18. I was like, so funny story. I think I can tell this now because that casino doesn't exist, but like they lied to the owner of the casino. They said I was 20 and I just lost my wallet and I was with my wife. This was my girlfriend. And I was like, yeah, I'm young for my age. And like, I got to play my set and then leave immediately. But that's like all he could get out of them. They're like, he can go in the building through the back door to DJ and immediately get off stage. So that's what I did. And I came back to school and I was like,
I'm the shit.
Yeah. And then,
oh my God.
Didn't work for a long time after that. But there's that thing that happens when you play your first good show and you're like, this is it. Like, my life will never be hard again.
Yeah.
But I learned.
It's definitely those learning curves, those ups and downs.
Yeah.
Those forward and backwards. And like now you have the big tour with Toe Face. So you just kind of started, right?
Sort of. We had the first date of the tour was a festival that got canceled because of the hurricane. It was in Maine.
Oh, shit.
And
hurricane's Maine. What's going on, man?
Ironically enough, I think nothing bad happened, but they were playing it safe. Mm-hmm. They should. I would have been like, I'm from New England. I enjoy it, but no one wants to get stuck in Maine,
No.
So then, yeah, the first official date hasn't really happened because the second date was me doing that water park show, but that was like a Memory Palace takeover without Todd. So like, hasn't been a Matt and Todd show yet, but not this weekend. Next weekend is the first one.
And Memory Palace is your all's label.
Yeah, it's like so it's Of the Trees label, and it's like me and Essex and Freddie Todd. Ooh. I think they just did a Lenny EP. Liney.
Yeah, he's a shit. I just played a show with him.
That dude,
he's a little beast. He's got a little curly hair.
I remember the first time I heard his music, and it was like another one of those like That's how
God damn it.
It's
They're
how
getting better.
Luckily, like most of my friends, when I hear their music, it's like deeply upsets me in a way. So I'm like, yo, I'm so lucky to have so many talented friends.
You're like, here we go.
Yeah, here we go again. Because right when you finally like, I made something dope. Someone's like, you heard this guy, and you're like, I don't want to hear this guy.
You're like, I don't want to, but we're here. Is it crazy for you to see how like this sound that's predominantly been like underground is like not so underground anymore?
Yeah, I guess I've done it long enough to see the weird like layers of it. Like I remember when like Imagine Dragons put out that song that was like womp 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 and had like womp sounds in it, and me and all my friends were like, dubstep is mainstream. And like, no, that wasn't dubstep being mainstream. And then like Citing had a dubstep song in a commercial, and we were like, dubstep is mainstream. It's like 2012. Like that wasn't like, you still couldn't sell 300 tickets to a show. But now like people are like, oh, my favorite underground artist. It's like this person also sold out 3 nights at Red Rocks or something. It's like, I hate to break it to you, but 35,000 tickets is not as underground as you think. So like, I really think it is much more mainstream, but I don't know if it's mainstream. I think the underground has grown in a sense.
The underground has grown.
It's still not super commercial. Like it's like in restaurants in Denver, I hear like Of the Trees and shit. And like they play my like people's music I know like in nice restaurants and shit. So that's weird, but it's still not like,
I feel like every coffee shop I pass, especially the ones that I go to in the morning, all the guys in the kitchen are like blaring DMVU or they're like blaring dubstep.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
so like, I think that's way more important for the culture than like being afraid of Imagine Dragons using dubstep sounds in a song, you know, like what the line cooks are listening to is far more valuable than what's in like a Citing commercial. Shout out the line cooks.
Shout out to line cooks. I know. I think that was my biggest shock when I came here was that like, I only moved here a year and a half ago. I can't imagine like being in your shoes and watching like the infiltration of Denver just like grow to be this massive like music mecca for electronic music.
I mean, I've personally always thought it was this way. It doesn't feel like it's changed because it's always felt like I mean, the first ever bass invasion was fucking Scream and Marianne Hobbs. And like Marianne Hobbs wasn't even a DJ. She was a DJ for BBC Radio 1 who like was responsible for like putting dubstep on like FM airwaves in the UK. And like,
remember the Caspa and Roscoe FM mixes?
Yeah, and like she was a headliner. And like, where in the fucking world could you book a radio DJ as a headliner at a rave? Except like Denver. And like, yeah, like every bass invasion growing up like was like Caspa, and then like the Inamine takeover with like dance and shit. Like it's always been so ahead of the curve. And I think that's just what's happening now. Like you have a big resurgence of people moving here, but there's still like a lot of Denver's like ahead of the curve in the sense where it's just like being a little too heady also makes you really aware of like, you know, all the really dope music going on. Like, to be fair, the best music I'm hearing right now isn't like big music, you know? Yeah. It's underground shit, as it always is, you know?
Like examples. What's the music you're really digging right now?
Well, someone who's getting a lot of recognition, as they fucking deserve, Chef Boyer Beats.
Yeah.
Absolute king. Absolute fucking king. But then like older acts like Distinct Motive, like that dude, I've been
that was like my day.
Did you see today? He announced his Subtronics tour, and he's on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's on the fucking Subtronics tour, and like that's what I'm fucking talking about. Because like that dude, I've been playing.
Massive. He's a legend. He's a legend.
I've been playing his music, and more people I know have been playing his music for longer than like anyone. Like people play big songs that are hits, but people don't realize like Distinct Motive, while he hasn't had like a hit, there's been more Distinct Motive in dubstep sets for the past like 8 years.
I was about to say, everyone plays. Anytime anyone throws like quote unquote underground shit, they're playing him.
Yeah, literally. And you can hear it. Like I've gotten very good at picking out Distinct Motive tracks because they hit harder than most. And they're just good. They're old fashioned, to the point, good dubstep.
I used to have that song that was like dun 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 dun.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know the song now. But when I first started DJing, it was like all underground shit. And I was just DJing in my college dorm room.
Yep.
And I was just like, damn, like this is so good.
Yeah. No, and it's even like to this, like on Twitter yesterday, someone shared a video and they were like, is this unreleased blah, blah, blah? And it was a Distinct Motive song. He like reposted it. He was like, this is my song. I was like, here we go. Like, again, it's always Distinct Motive. Like always. And now,
is he from the States or is
he's Canadian?
Okay, got it.
But Distinct Motive was 2 people for a long time. One of them lived in Michigan, Josh, and then Phil lived just north of Michigan. That's why they did the
that
thing.
makes sense.
But now it's just Phil, and now he's on Subtronics tour, doing dope shit. And I mean, I saw him the other day in Denver.
He was here for what show was that?
Cursa,
that's
Hieroglyphics, and fuck, the opener was really sick.
Dude, Denver gets blessed.
I know, it was insane.
There was like Hamdi, there was Cursa. I think wasn't Caspa just here or something?
Yeah, and Sicario. Like that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that's like. Not only does Denver get Hamdi, they get Hamdi at Black Box. Like that's such a Denver thing. Like that doesn't happen anymore.
And then like we just had Scream at Black Box.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like that's not only are you getting like
you get shows that don't go anywhere else.
Yeah, you get shows that don't go anywhere, and they also go to one of the like best sounding venues in the fucking country.
You know, I haven't been to Black Box yet.
You're missing out.
I've been really trying to go. I was gonna go for Scream, and then I had to fly back home, and like I want to go for the perfect show. Like I know that like any show there is going to be great, but like I want like a pristine A1 event.
The best artists I've seen in Black Box and like Epoch was life-changing in Black Box. Komodo not that long ago was one of the best shows I've ever seen. Like just pick like one of those one legendary artists and go. And like the cool thing is a lot of shows like that you can just like post up in the back of the room. Like it's really nice going to
because it's so loud and like the sound system are like what what makes Black Box like Black Box?
It's not loud, it's like pristine. It's like the sub hits, but it doesn't hit in a way that's overbearing.
That's gonna kill you.
You should wear earplugs, but it's not like, oh, this is so fucking loud. Like it's the sound system was custom built for that room. So they like shaped the room, treated it, and then head sound and shit. Built the speakers and sat in there tuning them for like months. So it's literally like the best sounding space you can stand in hundreds of miles probably. And like, yeah, it's nothing compares to hearing like
have you played Black Box?
Oh yeah. I've done, because when Black Box opened, I think like 6 years ago.
Okay.
And I was still like half local at that point. So I did a lot of openings, like I did a down tempo set with Shrimp Nose at Black Box like last year. So ironically enough, Black Box system was a little too dope for down tempo music. Like
really,
it knocked really hard, and I was like, this is like, I don't know if this is right. Like it sounded good, don't get me wrong, but it's like you don't need
that sub.
You don't need some of that thick for like Rhodes pianos and shit, you know.
Yeah.
But like playing dubstep at Black Box, there's nothing that compares. And you can play music you can't play anywhere else, you know. It's just like you get that shit hits like 20 hertz and you can like feel it.
Yeah.
And
it's the perfect frequency to just hit you.
I've been to a lot of speaker stacks in countries or in different cities, and like they hit
CPK, all that shit.
Nothing fucking hits like Black Box, you know.
I gotta wait for the right opportunity. I keep my eyes open. I just want to go and be like blown away.
They also have the lounge is really good. They have a lot of like cool local squads. They have like footwork nights at the lounge and shit. Like I think they do jungle and shit. So
jungle.
There's lots of good like representation.
I saw you were making some jungle.
I made some jungle.
I've been on that wave so much. I fuck with it. I feel like it's. I mean, you saw Rampage is coming to the United States. Yeah. That's a big. Okay, if they give the green light, something's going on.
It's a good sign.
And then like you're getting like all of these like influences finally crossing over, whether it's from like Over Mono or Prospa or those more commercial guys to the underground doing jungles, and like I hope like MCs become a thing here. Like
oh my God.
Like there's so much of like untapped shit from overseas that have not reached the States.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think in a sense they have, right? They've reached it just enough for people to want them to come here. Like they've reached it in a sense where it's like you get like a taste of it.
Yep.
Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we're seeing, like with like Glitch Mob doing more like 90s dance music and shit. Like we're getting
this different shit.
This is all stuff that's been like popping in Europe and stuff. And now I think it's like when you look at the way art works, right? Everything is usually in retaliation to what the state of current art is. Like right now, like EDM is big. And you have like big screens and big speakers and pyrotechnics.
It's basically a band at this point.
And it's like when photorealism and painting got big, literally the next era was like abstract. People were like, instead of a photorealistic person, I'm going to paint a blue square. And like, I think that's what happens with all art. And like, EDM is so big and overstimulating, people are like, hey, let's just go back to like DJ, no visuals, loudspeakers, strip back music. Like, it makes sense, it's like, it feels like the next logical step in the progression of art as far as like music goes. So
I've always said that, like, when I get the opportunity to do like my first like headline run, like a legit tour, not like one-offs, like, a real tour.
Yeah.
I want to do just lighting, and I want to do visual installations, but like in front of me, not LED walls. Because I feel like lighting is just so powerful. Example, when Skrillex came to Red Rocks, was there an LED wall? You bet your ass there wasn't.
Exactly. Exactly. And like, I love that through Skrillex doing that, it gives
people took notes. People were like, damn, okay.
Not just people were like, oh, this is so cool, but it gave like artists the confidence to be like, I spent the past few years panicking because I'm like, I need to get visuals made. Like, and they're so goddamn expensive.
And you don't want shit visuals, I
spent so much fucking money on visuals, and I don't even know if I'll use them at this point, but it was because I was like, I have to. I can't compete with no visuals. And like, thank the fucking Lord that Skrilly came through Red Rock and was like, hey, you can just have red lights. I was like, that's what I'm trying to say. But I'm not Skrillex, so it doesn't matter as much. But he's right. He's fucking right. So like, yeah, it's...
Sometimes people just want to listen.
That's what made me fall in love with like live sound system music, was just not... You couldn't even see the DJ. You didn't even know what they looked like. Like, I don't want to be stared at by a crowd. Like, leave me alone. Like, enjoy each other's presence.
Well, especially from like a female standpoint. Like, I have Maddie O'Neill coming on for a second time next week, but during our first conversation, it was like, she's been doing this for so long.
Yeah, she's been there since the beginning. Like, the beginning.
Been in Colorado for a fucking second.
And she was killing it when I was just young. Like, she's been... Yeah.
And, it's come to this point where you almost have to choose. It's like, are you going to be like the quote unquote like star and like focus where you want everybody to look at you and you're going to have camera on you while you're on stage and you're going to be manipulated and you're going to be the visual? Or do you want it to just be about everything else but you?
And this is where it full circle back to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like, do you choose what is comfortable, or do you choose what like, is right, but is scary and people might not fuck with? And it's just like, I don't disparage people for choosing the comfortable way. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, fear is hard to deal with. Yes. I don't blame anyone for choosing the easy route.
Especially in this route where there's so much
Exactly.
fear.
Like, I get it. It's stressful enough, like, trying to do something that might not work. So trying to do something that kind of has not a guarantee that it will work, but like, making something that, people already like it will work, but maybe making something that you really like, but you have no idea if anyone else will like, that could completely fail and be a waste of time, or it could solidify your spot.
And I feel like more times than not, it takes a while to catch on. Like, you're going to have this sacrificial period where like people are going to just be like, what are you doing?
The first ever headline tour I did was with Yeti, and I was playing deep dubstep. And are you
part of the trifecta?
No, Trifinity. Okay. Yeah, no, that's Yeti and Toadface, who are brothers, and then their friend Steven, Mount Analog, and they met in like third grade.
Bro, I saw that one time when I was
that shit.
I saw it at, what was it? The Unts.
Where they gave out the pamphlets.
That was my college years. We road tripped we flew into Denver, and then we road tripped through Utah into California, and then went all the way up to wherever the fuck it takes place. And it was the early days. It was before Unts had real commercialized acts. Like, I remember Space Jesus was like right next, like, speaking of, Space Jesus was like right next to us, like popping champagne, like Monday morning, like fucking just like crazy shit that you don't see anymore.
And it's funny because the Unts, like, even pre-festival, was still just like, the Unts was like the blog that put on dope underground music.
Yeah.
And then
the stage was like the size of this room.
Oh yeah. And then like the Trifinity like come out in robes with a tinfoil pyramid. And like I remember the theme of that set was like they somehow kill Mount Analog on stage. There's like fake blood, and then they make everyone touch the pyramid and then hold it over him, and it brings him back to life. And I was like, bro, these kids are gonna believe you. Like, some of these kids are on enough things to where a lot of us are like, this is funny, and I was like, there's gonna be one kid.
I saw it once, and I was like, one time is enough.
And they're doing it with Spangle in Denver. I forget the date, but it's like they're direct support. It's got to be the Fillmore. I assume it's a Fillmore.
I mean, it's a theatrical endeavor.
Yeah, and I assume. I mean, this is years later. They've probably been planning the shit out of that.
Like, so. I in my mind, I'm like, you got like Act 1, and they come out, and it's all of a sudden you got Act 2, intermission. Like,
if I was Spangle, I don't know if I'd be ready to go on after them killing someone and then resurrecting them. Like, bro, and I don't want to give away too much. They told me a little bit about what the set's going to be like.
I mean, I love Yeti. When I saw
no one
Yeti,
like him. No one like him in the world.
Like, I really fucked with his sets for a really long time.
Yeti is the perfect example of like everything we just talked about, where he does not feed into anything that's not to a T him, and just like him as a person. Like he is the most Yeti person in the world. He does like there's no one you can compare him to, and no one he can compare himself to, because he's like no one like him.
When I was still a resident at Ritz, that was the first underground artist they ever brought on to a main deal, and I was just like, I looked at the talent buyer, and I was just like, yo, I don't know how this is gonna go, and people loved it.
Yeah,
they loved it.
So the first tour I ever did was with Yeti, and like at this point in my career, I was like trying to just like fucking dick ride sound design so hard. Like, how complex can I make sound design? And then like
throw everything else musical.
Yeah. And then like me and Yeti get some shows together, and he like plays Crack the Window, and Crack the Window is just like 808, and like woo, 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 woo. And I'm like having this existential crisis because I'm like, I spent so long learning sound design, and this fucking dude comes up and just goes like woo, 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 woo. And I was like, this is twice as impactful as anything I've ever made. And like
it's in the simplicity.
Yeah, it is. And like he taught me through touring with him, like the power of just like, that's something I'm still learning, is the power of just like good songwriting. Like you don't need bells and whistles, which it's hard reverting, because I spend a lot of time trying to be only bells and whistles. And I'm like, okay, take a step back. Like Little Snake exists. I can't do that much sound design. So like, let's tone it down and do less sound design, but make the small amount more impactful. Fucking hard. Yeah. Fucking difficult. But
I always thought Matt Peekaboo was really good at that.
Oh, yeah.
He kind of came on the wave, and I was just like, the simplicity in it, but still the impact of it is just massive.
Same with Distinct Motive too. Again, it's like all these dudes who make these fucking songs that are like anthems. They're so simple. And like even like Of the Trees, like the owl song. It's like I watched him record that owl on his back deck. It's literally just the owl. And he like put it over an 808. And it's like, ooh, ooh. And I was like,
I always forget he lives here. And then I saw him at the Pump Show, and I was like, dude, I always forget, because I feel like I'm not as involved with like the really experimental.
Yeah.
Like everybody out here who's in that little crew is like really in that crew.
Yeah.
And I forget how many people live out here.
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy because like, and then Black Carl and Vector just moved out here. They
so he moved here.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw him at the Res show, and I was like, oh, did you like just come out here for the show?
Yeah. I sat in the trunk of a car on the way to the Res show with them.
Oh my God.
We're already, they've been here like a month. We're getting in it, but
podcast with him would be fun. That'd be a shit
get them
show.
on. They fuck you. Well, you got to get them together. They're a duo.
Together. They're heard.
A lot of fun. They're very fun. And Black Carl was like, "We got to get you on Ableton." And I was like, "Bro,
you're on FL, right?"
Yeah, I'm on FL.
Doesn't FL have like? Oh my God. Doesn't FL have like some dope updates? Not that you're gonna get them.
First of all, I use a very unupdated version.
Okay.
But yes, and so like I use an unupdated version of Fruity Loops, but I also still use like modern VSTs. Yeah. I'm not like, I think some people confuse that, and they're like,
I started in Reason, so I
understand. When I started, like people were like either in Reason or Logic, or I think there's 3 people using Cakewalk by Sony.
Oh my God.
Well, when I first started, I used Acid by Sony because I saw that Rusko video.
Yeah.
Where he's like, send your missus to the store, like get her nails done, like get yourself a soda, light a cigarette. At the time I smoked cigarettes in my studio. So I was like, okay, let's go. Like light a cigarette, use Acid. Terrible
program.
Terrible program. Not the best advice. Because me being 15, I was like, okay, I'll smoke cigarettes and drink soda so I can be a better producer. But I learned a lot. I still think it's one of the best production tutorials out there.
That's hilarious. You have to send that to me because I've never watched that.
It is.
That sounds hilarious.
It's good. It's old. It's like, I think it's uploaded on YouTube as like an archive. And like he's in like an attic. Like it's a room where like he like crouches and like his computer's like one of those white blocky like monitors. Yeah. It had to be like 2007, 2008. And
technology's wild.
He makes Rats in My Kitchen, which is like a classic like Ruska. It's like, it's so sick. It's so sick.
It's wild. And like sitting down with some of those guys, like the Funk Cases, the Virtual Rides, where like they kind of came up and there like wasn't splice and there wasn't presets and there wasn't sound banks and there wasn't anything.
Yeah.
And you had to like really like, you know, work on like sound synthesis.
Yeah.
Like actually design your shit from scratch.
And it's funny because like while I think you can't take pride in that, like it is kind of wasteful at this point. Like I spent so many years learning sound design, and it's like I'm not going to design some sound from scratch to prove that I can. To, like,
when the consumer doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, like I'm proving it. Like, oh, cool. Now I know I can do something that I could already do. Like, good job, Matt. Like, yeah, you're so looking in the mirror, just like, good job.
Good
like,
job for you.
Yeah, so it's just, you know, and it's created a different world, you know. Like I think More Kismet's a good example of someone like
I've been thinking of him or them the whole entire time.
They are the perfect example of taking a modern approach to like production where it's like they aren't sitting there like doing fucking meticulous sound design, but they are in a different way. They aren't sitting there like synthesizing shit from scratch. They're like resampling audio in such a way that's like no one sounds like them. Like
they started so young that there were no rules.
Yeah.
There was no tutorial. There was Omar and the computer.
Yeah, and that's such a prime example of that formula just like working to a T.
Well,
like, you shouldn't use splice, and it's like, yo, I think this is how you fucking use
that's
splice,
how you do it. And I remember when they started putting out music, all of the producers were on to Omar a lot sooner.
Immediately. I was like, bro, are you fucking like?
And then you figure out that they were like 14. I remember my friend Toucan showing me
painful day
when Omar was 14 years old, and I was just like, wait, what?
Stings in here.
And when it got to the consumer point, it was like, okay, well, what is this? And then everybody started playing out Omar's songs.
Oh my god, yeah,
Everyone played their songs.
Even I played some of their tracks for a bit, and like to be fair, this was a few years ago, and my sets have definitely changed. I don't play shit that's that intense, but like they have collabs with like I think there's a Chuck Stutton collab, and like that's another way you can tell someone's got the respect of like some fucking really good producers. Their first album just has legends on the fucking collab. And my dumbass can't even collab with anyone because I'm too. But like if I could collab with people, Chuck Stutton would be on the fucking list. And there goes
Great
Omar.
Music.
First album, just like banger, 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 banger. Insane. Some of them were screechy and loud. Some of them were like deep and hip hoppy. I was like, this is the next generation. This is the perfect example of the next generation.
That would be correct.
Because when I started this shit, the next generation was like Easy Baked and Shanghai Doom. And like, it makes me feel old, but like they're doing it. Like that's, now they're like looking at the next generation.
They're doing it. And I remember, just because I'm from Florida, when I was in school, I used to go to their parties and they would be playing with like, on like Kadari's CDJs in like the fucking kitchen. Yeah. And then like, you would have like Mock J pull up. You would have like all of these legends and they're just spinning in the kitchen, like being like, this is never going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And then look it up, you know?
Kadari's the one who picked me up from the airport for Married to the Rave.
I love Kadari.
And he was like, yeah. He like warned me. He was like, I'm not really part of this thing. Like, I'm just driving. That's my dog. Good man. Good man.
Kadari's good people. Yeah. He's good people. All right. So what's next for you? What's on the come up?
So much. I write a lot of music. So I have a fucking clogged back catalog. So I have Toadface EP that got announced yesterday for the tour. So we did the tour because we made this
collab EP.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Half collab EP because it's 2 collabs and then 2 singles from each of us.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's a great way to do something.
Are we allowed to do this? And Wiley, Dome of Doom, Like,
let's go.
It's good.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want. I was like, God bless you. So yeah, that's coming. And then I have a Memory Palace EP coming, which I think is going to be on vinyl. And those songs,
that's exciting.
My entire 2022 mini mix is that whole EP. And it's one of those where like, I had to be patient because people were like, those songs are 2 years old. Like, where are they? And I'm like, I promise they're fucking coming.
That's how I
That's
feel
just
with my
how-
EP. I'm ready to blow my head off.
That's how labels work. And like these songs, I was like, I can't wait to put these out next month when I wrote them in the end of 2021. And like
During COVID.
now they're coming out. And the thing is, like, that's a good test. If you can listen to your music 2 years later and not fucking hate it, like, good sign. Because, you know, God, there's some EPs I've been like, yo, should I pull this? But so yeah, that's coming out of Memory Palace. And then repressing my old albums. So like Two Pairs of Eyes, I think we're going to annually, like, so we did Little Castle Swim to Me last year around fall, and this year we're skipping because of the tour, but next year we're going to press the first one and then press the second one. So my fucking release calendar is like
that's so exciting.
Tight.
Though.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting, and it's also exciting because it's music I've been trying to get out for years. Yeah. So like I have to just suck it up and let it take forever.
Let it ride.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little bit of everything. Some dubstep, some chill shit, you know.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the road
Yeah.
with Toadface starting next week,
He was
right?
the best road companion. He's
Yes.
very chill, relaxed, well-mannered boy.
Love it.
Couldn't ask for more.
Any venues you're especially excited to play?
Yeah, definitely. I'm trying to think of them off the top. We're doing Aisle 5 in Atlanta, which is
cool.
the first venue I ever like sold out as a headline. So I'm really, that shit is a fucking vibe. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the shows in Texas that are coming up soon. That's like with Ham promo and some other.
They're good guys.
It might be both. It might be Austin and Dallas are both Ham, but
Cool.
those always pop off. So
Love it.
yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank
I
you.
got to talk and chat. Enjoy your warm beatboxes.
Oh, it was warm. Let me tell you, it was warm. These boxes retain temperature very well.
They really do. They retain the heat. I love it. Well, everybody listening, go catch you on Toadface on tour.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys. See ya.